All right, welcome back. Today we are diving headfirst into one of my favorite topics, clustering. You can think of it as the art of finding a method in the madness, of finding these incredible hidden patterns in your data, even when you have no idea what you're looking for. Let's get into it.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered how your music app just knows what you want to hear next? You listen to one song and boom, it serves up this perfect playlist that just gets you. It feels like magic, right? Well, it's not magic. It's a brilliant application of data science. And that right there is the secret sauce. The algorithm isn't told what rock or jazz or synth pop is. Nope. It discovers these groups all on its own just by listening to the data. This amazing technique, that's the power of clustering.
Now, clustering falls under a bigger umbrella in machine learning called unsupervised learning. And the name says it all. We're not supervising anything. It's like we're giving the computer a giant box of Lego bricks with no instructions, no labels, and just saying, hey, go find the interesting structures in there.
So what is our goal here really? It's actually pretty simple. We want to group our data so that all the items inside any one group are super similar to each other, and at the same time, they're really different from the items in all the other groups. So let's meet the algorithms that make this all happen. First up, we have our classic hero, k-means. Honestly, this is the first algorithm most people learn, and for a really good reason. It's fast, it's easy to understand, and it's just a fantastic starting point for pretty much any clustering problem you can think of, like, say, grouping your customers based on what they buy.
The whole idea behind k-means is to create these really tight, compact clusters. And the way it does that is by minimizing something called the sum of squared error. That's just a fancy way of saying it tries to shrink the total distance between every single data point and the center of the cluster it belongs to.
Okay, so how does it pull this off? Well, it does it through this simple, kind of elegant process that I like to call the k-mean stance. Step 1, you just randomly drop your cluster centers. We call them centroids onto your data. Step 2, every single data point gets assigned to whichever center is closest. Step 3, you update the centers by moving them to the average spot of all the points that were just assigned to them. And then you just repeat those last two steps. Assign, update, assign, update. You keep doing that dance until the centers just stop moving. But, you know, every hero has a tragic flaw, and k-means is no exception. Because it's all about distance to a central point, k-means basically assumes that all your clusters are nice, neat, perfect little spheres. If your data is shaped like a banana or a long noodle, k-means is going to have a really tough time. So, what do we do then? Well, let's check out another method.
Let's move on to hierarchical clustering. I want you to think of this one as the family historian of the group. Instead of trying to force data into some number of groups you decide on beforehand, it actually builds a whole family tree of relationships from the ground up, showing you how every single point connects to every other one. The final result you get is this thing called a dendrogram. It's this cool tree-like diagram that visualizes exactly how your data gets grouped together. And here's the best part. Unlike k-means, you do not have to pick the number of clusters ahead of time. You build the whole tree first, and then you get to decide where it makes sense to, well, make the cut. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. To build that tree, we have to merge clusters. But how do we decide which ones are closest? Well, we have choices. With single linkage, we look at the two closest points between a pair of clusters. But with complete linkage, we look at the two farthest points. It sounds like a small detail, but believe me, this choice changes everything. Let's make this super concrete. Imagine you have two clusters. One has the points 1 and 2, the other one just has the point 5. For single linkage, we're looking for the minimum distance. So the distance from 2 to 5 is 3. The distance from 1 to 5 is 4. The smallest of those is 3, so our single linkage distance is 3. Simple enough, right? Now let's do the exact same thing, but with complete linkage. This time, we want the maximum distance between the clusters. So again, the distance from 2 to 5 is 3, and from 1 to 5 is 4. The biggest one is 4. So our complete linkage distance is 4. See? The exact same points, but a totally different answer for how far apart they are. And that is the crucial takeaway here. That one little decision, single versus complete linkage, completely changes which clusters get merged together and in what order. It literally reshapes the entire structure of your dendrogram. It changes the entire family tree of your data. So what if your clusters aren't nice little spheres and they're not neatly nested inside each other? What if they're just weird shapes? For that, we need a shapeshifter. So let's meet DBSCAN. This is a brilliant algorithm that finds groups based on how dense the data is, not how close it is to some center point. DBSCAN works with just two really simple parameters. First, for every point, it looks around in a little neighborhood, a circle, with a certain radius we call epsilon. Second, if it finds a minimum number of other points inside that circle, our min pizzas, it decides, okay, this is a dense area, a core part of a cluster. And then it just expands from there, connecting all the dense regions it can find. And this is its superpower. Because it's just connecting dense areas, DBSCAN can find clusters of basically any shape you can possibly imagine. And even better, any point that's not part of a dense region just gets automatically labeled as an outlier or noise. This is amazing for things like fraud detection, where what you're really looking for are those weird, unusual transactions that don't fit into any normal group. Okay, our final method, the Gaussian mixture model, or GMM, it takes a totally different philosophical approach. Instead of forcing data points into one specific cluster, GMM thinks in terms of probabilities. It embraces the uncertainty in the data. So unlike the other methods we've looked at, GMM performs what we call soft clustering. This means a data point isn't just assigned to cluster A, period. Instead, it might say, well, this point has an 80% chance of belonging to cluster A, but also a 15% chance of being in cluster B and a 5% chance of being in cluster C. It totally accepts that some data lives in those fuzzy gray areas between groups. And it does all this through a process called expectation maximization. You can think of it as another two-step dance. In the E step, the expectation step, it calculates the probability of each point belonging to each cluster. Then, in the M step, the maximization step, it uses those probabilities to get a better idea of what the clusters actually look like. And it just keeps repeating that dance until it finds the best possible fit. Whew, okay, we've met 4 really powerful clustering algorithms. But the big question is, how do you choose the right one for your problem? So let's break it all down in a final showdown. Here it is, your ultimate cheat sheet. K-means is your speed demon, perfect for round clusters, but watch out for outliers. Hierarchical is your family historian, amazing for finding those nested relationships. DBSCAN is your shapeshifter, the master of finding weird shapes and telling you what's just noise. And GMM is your philosopher, giving you those nuanced probabilistic answers for more flexible, oval-shaped groups. Each one has his own special talent. And that really is what this is all about. At the end of the day, in unsupervised learning, nobody gives you the right answers. The data doesn't label itself. It's up to us to choose the right tool, the right lens, to find that hidden story that's waiting inside all that chaos. The real power of these tools is that they let you go from just a pile of raw, unlabeled data to incredible insight. It doesn't matter if you're analyzing customers, galaxies, or your own music library. The methods are the same. So the only question left to ask is, what hidden story are you going to uncover first?